Today's video is all about some of the most important benefits of a holding company or a holding co. Now, before I get into the details, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube page. If you haven't subscribed, we really appreciate it. We have over 12,000 subscribers as of the time of this video. We want to get it to at least 20. I know my son, who is my social media manager, would appreciate it, and my team and community as well. So please subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification button. I try my best to continue bringing you content regarding business structures like holding companies, systems, processes, and all the things that we talk about, even when it comes to creative real estate investing. So I really appreciate your subscription. I appreciate your comments. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and let us know when there's something you need some information on. I'll be more than happy to drop a video. So today, again, we're going to be talking about some of the most important benefits of a holding company. Now, of course, I'm not an artist, but I wanted to just give you some visual of what I mean when I say a holding company. It is a entity structure. So this is you, and you should ideally, in a perfect world, be standing at the top of your holding company. In today's world, that holding company is going to typically be a LLC. So that will be considered LLC number one. It is the holding company. The primary purpose of this holding co is, of course, to hold other assets. There are other things that you can do, but that's not the video for this. Primarily, it is to hold other assets. Most of the times, those assets are going to be other LLCs. Your holding co is going to own the ownership interest of other LLCs. So here we have LLC number 2, LLC number 3, LLC number 4. So this is a visual of what a holding co entity structure should look like. Now, if you don't use the holding co entity structure, and let's say you have 4 LLCs, let's say you have a product business, a service business, you have some type of crypto or investment company, and maybe a real estate deal. Well, that would be 4 separate LLCs. If you don't use this concept, it would be you standing at the top of each of these LLCs as opposed to you standing on top of one and the 3 under the umbrella. So that's the power of using this entity structure. So on this side, we're talking about some of the benefits. I wanted to simplify the world of benefits by at least extracting some of the most important ones. And so what I did was I titled each section of benefits by infrastructure, by revenue, and by asset. So there are infrastructure benefits to a holding co, there are revenue benefits to a holding co, and there are asset benefits to a holding co, just to simplify. And again, there may be 100 other benefits we're not even talking about. But let's just look at some of the most important infrastructure benefits. Well, first of all, it is a parent company. So obviously now you have a parent company, and it puts you at the top of the parent company. Mentally, that structure repositions you to think different. It repositions you to focus on asset management as opposed to product and service management. Even though you may still have to get down here in the nitty-gritty trenches and sell a product or provide a service, but at least your mindset, your think is bigger because you understand the holding company. Another benefit, infrastructure-wise, is operational centralization. Again, if you personally owned all 4 of these, there would be no centralized operation. In other words, all of these roads here would not necessarily lead up to the main company. Now, of course, each of these LLCs, they will have their own EINs, their own bank accounts, their own QuickBooks accounts. But you may have a general CRM or a general ledger for your sales, your marketing, your finances, your administration, so that you can centralize all of the operations. So even though this company will have its own sales, but it's centralized to the sales up to the holding company. Marketing the same way, administration the same way, finance the same way, your executive roles and positions the same way. So there is an operational centralization. Another infrastructure benefit is brand building. This is very important. As a matter of fact, Warren Buffett would be here. This would be Berkshire Hathaway. That's brand building. Let's see, Amazon. This is Jeff Bezos. This is Amazon. The Walton family, Walton Enterprises. Under there, they have Sam's Club, Walmart, JP Morgan, Bank of America. Most of these major corporations are holding companies. Of course, they're public companies, and so they're traded on the stock exchange, the NASDAQ or whatever, the S&P, and you have a CEO. But for us, not on Wall Street, but on Main Street, we're going to utilize those same concepts to help maximize our scalability. Another infrastructure benefit is that you can become a subject matter expert. This is where you can start offering other services. For example, let's say this LLC sells a product. It could be an apparel product. You sell hoodies, right? Okay, well, you have a hoodie business right here. This is a whole business that sells hoodies. Well, that's the product that you're pushing. Well, because you have this type of infrastructure, you can actually become the subject matter expert in hoodies. And you could run consulting services through your holding company. So what type of consulting services? Well, I can consult people who want to start apparel companies. I can consult people on how to outsource it, how to get your vendors set up, how to set up an online store, whatever it is. Now you can become the subject matter expert inside of your holding company based on the operating companies that sell products and services. Another infrastructure benefit, you won't understand it until I explain it because I have the word for, the word in, on, and above, meaning that you're going to be working for the business when you just have an operating entity. You have a product you sell, you're working for the business. You're the technician. You're the guy or the gal that paints the house. You're the guy or the gal that shines the shoe, washes the car, provides the digital marketing services. You work for the business. All right? A lot of times you elevate your role where you hire VAs or personal assistants or other technicians and you start working in the business. Or you may elevate that and just work on the business. Either way, I don't want you forever working for these businesses, in these businesses, or standing on top working on them. I want you to work above them. I want you to think like and operate like an asset manager. So those are some of the infrastructure benefits of a holding co. Let's look at revenue benefits. Well, allocation is important. What do I mean by allocation? Well, again, even though I just ruined this diagram with my scribble scrabble, but let me just kind of set this up real quick just to show you the allocation. Well, let's just say, for example, this LLC is making money. Well, whatever the net profits are after expenses before taxes, this net profit goes to the holding co. The holding co can allocate it or reallocate it to another entity or maybe a new entity. Now, of course, you need your tax person, your attorney to make sure that whatever you're doing with these allocated activities, that they are either non-taxable events or if they're pre-tax taxable events, how can you minimize that tax? That's something that you need a tax strategist, a CPA, and an attorney to work with you on. But the power of allocation is in the revenue benefit. Okay, we have deployment. Deployment. What do you mean by deployment? Well, you're able to deploy capital inside and outside of your entity structure because your holding company controls the revenue. Preservation. You are essentially preserving revenue because this is how people strategically use vertical integrations. That's what they call it, vertical integrations, which means, let's say if you do have an apparel company and you sell hoodies, well, you might start a logistics company, or maybe you have a warehouse or distribution company and you're no longer using a vendor on Shopify. You're going directly to Alibaba and you're ordering bulk 30, 40,000 t-shirts and you have a printing business. These are vertical integrations that you can start using inside of your business, but you're essentially preserving capital and, of course, increasing revenue because now you're not spending, let's say for your apparel company, you're not spending $20 on a hoodie. because you're not buying it from a vendor who's buying it from Alabama. You have your own warehouse, you have your own printing machine, you have your own digital marketing inside, and these could be companies you've bought. This could be equipment you've bought with pre-tax dollars. So it's powerful when you start thinking about the holding co concept. So these are the revenue benefits, and then we have asset benefits. Well, first, of course, asset protection. You're protecting each asset that you house inside of your LLCs. And like I have done, when I have an operating entity that sells a product or provides a service, if the intellectual property behind the product or the service is mine and it's valuable, then the entity is not going to own it. My holding company is going to own the intellectual property and perhaps will license the intellectual property to one of my subsidiaries, because that protects my asset, which is my IP. Okay, we have accumulation, asset accumulation, meaning that I'm able to start accumulating assets, intellectual property, trademarks, copyrights, publishing rights, licenses. I can create leases, contracts. These are paper assets that will have value, especially if the assets are tied to some business activity through an operating entity that sells products and services, okay? And then we have acquisitions of assets. So I look at accumulation of assets as internal, because these are things that I'm repositioning inside of my ecosystem. The acquisition of assets are external, because these are other businesses I'm acquiring. I may even acquire databases or IP, whatever the things are, I'm bringing them in from outside through acquisitions. And then ultimately I have leverage. I'm able to leverage all of these collective assets, all of these business activities, and that gives me purchasing power, which is a benefit I didn't even talk about. Tax minimization is another benefit I didn't talk about, but it's tied to the revenue and it's tied to the asset. But just to show you, there are powerful ways you can utilize a holding company to maximize these benefits and many more benefits. Of course, if you need information on how to start and structure your own holding company, maybe you have existing entities and you want to start a holding company, transfer the ownership of those entities to your holding company, whatever it is, my team and I, we're always available to answer any questions. We offer free strategy calls. We have free resources like a free business assessment to help you identify with some of the things that you might need to do. Just look inside of the description, click the links. Our information is there. We're available. We look forward to hearing from you, and definitely want to get a comment on how this video was beneficial to you, what value it brought to you, what was your biggest takeaway, and definitely subscribe to my YouTube page. Click the notification bell, because you know we're bringing it on a regular basis. All right, thank you. Appreciate y'all. See you on the other side.